Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. Today, I'm going to be doing something a bit different, a bit more, honestly, a bit more WizTuber-like, you know? I mean, I don't really like that phrase, but I am a Wizard101 YouTuber. And I'm going to be doing a top 5 list. Now, I've never done one of these on my channel. I know Phantom has many top 5s on his channel. They're all fantastic. Go check them out. Today, I'm going to be doing my top 5 favorite worlds because I feel like it gives me a longer length of time than the tier list to explain why exactly these are my top 5 worlds. They're a bit different than most people's, I'd say, so if you're expecting it to be set in stone compared to what normal people are, it's very much not. I like very different worlds than most people. I'll try to give my reasons for that, explain why I like them, why I find them to be good, and yeah. Well, I mean, let's just get into it, right? So number 5 on our list. Let me waddle over on my panda to the world door so that you can see. Top 5. Number 5 is going to be Mirage. Now, this one, in my opinion, is probably going to be the one that surprises people the most, because I feel like a lot of people don't like Mirage, or they found it rather forgettable. But recently, I did Mirage on my death with my friend Calvin, Death and Storm, and honestly, it was one of my favorite worlds in a long time, and there's a few reasons for that. First off, there's so many good characters. Compared to a lot of worlds, I feel like some of them have forgettable characters. I feel like Arc 3 in particular, though, does that very, very well. Polaris, Mirage, and Imperia all have really, really memorable characters. But this world has some of my favorites. Ozzy is probably one of my favorite characters of all time, Ozymandias. Based on the poem Ozymandias, I actually pieced that together almost immediately because of the fact that I read the poem in the past. So that was one thing from him that I like. Snake Plissken was honestly awesome. Obviously based on Solid Snake, that thing, that area. He was a really badass character. I personally really liked him more than other characters, and he was really fun. The Sultana was interesting. Ali Baboon, all of them very memorable, very fun, and honestly, none of those characters I particularly hate. The only character I dislike is Istar, as you can see here. And that's mostly because she's just kind of annoying. But I feel like it can be forgiven with the amount of good characters there are. But that's just the characters. Another thing to mention is the fact that I liked every single street. The slowest street for me was probably Agrabah, and honestly, it was still fast and it was still fun, and I enjoyed it. I really loved the finale in the Chronoverge, where you fight different shadow creatures, and then you end up fighting Grandfather Spider. Very interesting. And then the twist that Mallory actually goes against you and tries to destroy Grandfather Spider because she thinks it's good for the spiral, and that Mallory is actually Grandmother Raven's child. All of those were fantastic twists, and I loved all of them. I think that this world is severely underrated and is definitely one of my top 5s. So I'm going to place it at number 5. I'm not going to go on for too long. I don't want each world to take 5 minutes to explain, but definitely that is my number 5. Now, my number 4, this might also surprise people. I think it will, and it is Marleybone. Now, this definitely has a nostalgia factor for me. I remember doing let me turn the music up slightly, because I feel like the music's a bit quiet. More. All right. So this definitely has a nostalgia factor for me, because obviously it's one of the first worlds, and I played it a lot as a kid. That does factor in. But I do think it's a genuinely fun world. Not only is the music great, but the pacing is very good in the world. I find that it doesn't overstay its welcome, right? Because some worlds very much do that. They go on for too long, they're very painful, and your brain doesn't want to do them anymore, right? But honestly, I don't think Marleybone does. I've finished it in about 2 hours in the past, which is obviously faster than most people are going to be doing it, but it's possible to do that, and honestly, You could probably get it done in less than 5 hours solo if you wanted to. I mean, I have. And I feel like the average person could as well. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's a very fun world, in my opinion. The bosses aren't too difficult. It gives decent amount of XP. And it's also a good, in my opinion, palate cleanser after Krokotopia. I've kind of changed my opinions on Krokotopia a bit recently, because it definitely is still the most nostalgic world for me. But the main issue is that the Crocosphinx is very boring. The Tomb of Storms is almost just as boring. I think the only reason I like it so much is the nostalgia factor. I think that Marleybone, though, very fun. The graphics don't look too outdated. Overall, good world. I don't know how much people will agree with me, but I enjoy it. Coming back to Buckingham Palace at level 40, in my opinion, is always a treat, and I really do enjoy it. Alright, let me pause before I do the next one, because I have them written out, and I don't want to spoil it. So I'll be back. Alright, we're back. And I looked at my list, because I wrote it down in the chat, and I didn't want to spoil it for you guys. Next is Avalon. Now, I think a lot of people actually agree with me here. I think this is one of my more popular opinions on favorite worlds. Avalon, in my opinion, does almost everything right. The scenery is memorable. The music is memorable. The quest line's memorable. All of it is so good. Definitely top 3, and I feel like it will be a lot of people's top 3s. Almost every street, in my opinion, is well-paced. The only thing I think that is a bit boring is around the weird Dundar area, but it picks up again after that. I feel like a lot of these are very interesting quests, and saving King Arthur, or sorry, King Artorias, I said King Arthur, oops, King Artorias, restoring him to the crown and saving this world filled with strife is very, very fun, in my opinion. Getting the Sword of Kings, despite the fact that the Sword of Kings sucks, was a good quest line, and I did enjoy it a lot. Honestly, I think this world is really interesting, and every time I go back to it, I just enjoy it. Even though it might be a bit difficult in a few places, I can't say I ever get bored questing in Avalon. It's one of my favorite worlds. I do really enjoy it. And I think that it's just, you know, it's up there. It's solid. I don't think people will really disagree with me. I don't think many people will disagree with me if I say that Avalon is a solid world. All right, now we're coming to my number 2, which people will heavily disagree with, and it is Mushu. I actually did not know until about a year ago, not a year ago, a few months ago, that the Wizard101 community largely dislikes Mushu. A lot of people dislike Mushu, and I don't know why, because in my opinion, it's not a slow world. You can get it done in a few hours. All the quests are fun. The music is so good. The scenery is so good. I don't know why people dislike it. But, you know, I understand that not everyone will like it, but I'll give my reasons why I like it. So first off, you come here to Mushu with the express purpose of getting the Dragonspire World Key. That's the whole reason why you're here. But to do that, you need to save the Emperor of Mushu and fix the revolts, what, you know, a bunch of these things that are being caused by the warlords. In my opinion, the questline's really good. You go to these different areas, and you either you help the natives and you help people out, which I found really good. I think one thing that I found funny was Phantom put in his top 5 forgettable areas. He put Tataki Outpost. He said it's unjustifiable that I like it. I do like it, right? Right? The thing is that people will be like, what even is the quest line? But I remember it. You need to help Sansai Fukido against the warlord Maito in the center of the area, because he's ravaging the entire area with his armies. You go there, you burn his watchtowers, do stuff like that, collect some berries for the people of the area, all that kind of stuff. Basically, it's really fun. Another thing I like about it is the fact that you catch wraiths. You do that twice. You get the bone cage from one of them in the ancient burial grounds, and then you actually capture one in the village of Sorrow to get you to the Tree of Life. Very fun. Jade Oni is obviously an extremely memorable boss, and I really enjoy it. I know a lot of people probably won't like where this is at number 2 on the list, but I really do enjoy Mushu. I think it's one of my favorite. It's definitely one of my favorite worlds. People would disagree with me. That's okay. I also really like the XP. You can get from level 20, probably 28 to about 40 something here if you do the side quests and stuff, which I do. So you know what? That's that. Now we're coming to our final world on the list. Number 1 is Polaris. Now, this one, for me, is for so many reasons. I don't know if people will agree with this. I really don't know how people feel about Polaris, but there's so many reasons that this is number 1 on my list. First off, Arc 2 is a slog. So many of the worlds are painful. Zafaria can be a bit painful. Celestia is painful. Azteca, Chrysalis, both painful. And then you come to Polaris and suddenly everything is great because they nerfed the health significantly but added these interesting cheats to a lot of bosses that made it still feel dynamic. A lot of the fights are still genuinely intriguing and challenging in a lot of ways, but the enemies aren't sponges like in Chrysalis and they don't have 20k health, which is so nice, right? Because a lot of these bosses have from 8 to 12k health, and then towards the end it starts ramping up again, but not to that same level. The rat fight genuinely is challenging. It was challenging. Nowadays it's not as challenging, but it was challenging, and it required a lot of thinking and, you know, thought stimulation to actually do. A lot of people's complaints about this game is that it's not very challenging. I mean, I don't know why you want a children's game to be challenging, but that's besides the point. I think the rat fight's genuinely challenging. Definitely a lot of factors that has to go into this for me is that Polaris is really when I started getting into the game more. My fire was in Chrysalis at the end of Chrysalis and finished Morganth the month before this came out. And for the longest time, I was behind in level. So when Azteca came out, I was like level 60, right? And so on and so forth. My point is that I never got to max level, and Polaris was the first time I really did do that. It was my first world I experienced getting to that max level where I should be. And I really love it. Talking about the actual content of the world, though, in my opinion, most of the streets are really interesting. I love the fact that you meet Baba Yaga. You get to go to the Arcanum, you find the Aurorical, and, you know, some shady stuff starts happening. Grandmother Raven comes and warns you about shadow magic and all that stuff. I personally really, really like this world. I love the revolution aspect overthrowing, you know, the Empress and whatnot. Freeing, Walrusburg, turning into New Penguinonia, wah wah. You know, that kind of stuff. Basically, the gist of it is I love this world. Every time I've gone to it, I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I've done it about 4 times now, and every time it was a treat. Just a genuine, fun world. But that is going to be my top 5 list. Please, let me know if you disagree with me. I want to know your rankings in the comments below. I know for a fact people will disagree with me because there is no way that anyone has the same 3. There's no way anyone has Mirage, Marleybone, and Mushu in their top 5 like I do, because I feel like not a lot of people like those worlds. And if you're gonna dislike, you're gonna dislike at least 1 out of the 3. But that's besides the point. I really want to know what everyone's opinions is in the comments below, so please leave your opinions. If you disagree with me immensely, which a few people probably will, you know, feel free to correct me, try to convince me. But I think I offered valid points to this, and I feel like if you haven't done one of these worlds in a while, maybe you should do it again and try to see how you feel about it now. Because I've done all these worlds recently, and I think they're all really fun. But that's it for today. If you enjoyed, drop a like at the sub button. Maybe drop a channel membership if you're feeling in the mood to be generous. I'll see you in the next video. Have a fantastic day.